Oh, weird. So, yeah, for 2 weeks now.
He's terrified of the sky.
Well, I would think that's the camera.
That's the camera.
I don't know why she tried to work.
Here's all right, a little stiff. Yeah, a little stiff. Is it like 100 or 103 in here?
White. Feels good.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Janet. I got connections here with Janet. Oh, is there a mic or are we just talking like this? This thing? Huh?
I'm double checking.
No, but I mean a mic for the crowd here? Or? No. Hey, Dalton. Big Dalton. Dalton, where's my mic? Where's the? Come on, man. You guys don't know, Dalton used to be my mic man at Solution Group. I used to have a mic when I got here.
Hey, Cam and Max, come right up here with Riley in the front.
Not front row. Let's move these forward because this is really weird.
Yeah, I don't like that. No, I don't like it.
Oh, good. I'm nice here. Anybody have face intervention? Somebody will laugh at my jokes. I got everyone here.
Okay, good. Okay, very good. They're saying it's clear.
Okay.
Okay, good.
How's my comedy? Better than Kyle's? I'm going to start out tonight with jokes. Forget Kyle.
Yeah. I'm listening.
Yeah.
Exciting. Everybody can hear you. Not doing jokes?
No, I'm gonna do them. Forget Kyle. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Kyle, I just walked in on Kyle practicing in the mirror. So
Part of the game. That's good.
It's
Yeah.
exciting.
yeah, he had stickers in the mirror, positive affirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it with Kyle. Yeah, you can
Picture
do
my
it, Kyle.
car up in the corner.
You know.
That's mine. I am funny.
Wow.
Okay. So are we good to start?
Yeah. Hey, Becky, Kristen, you guys want to close the door?
Well,
Or
there
we-
could be some people.
They're gonna be knocking.
Yeah.
I can see him by the door.
Okay, Ty.
We'll
That would
keep
help.
it. We'll keep it open.
Give it 5-10 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Ty.
Put a sign on there and call it.
That's true.
Put a phone number
That's
on
a good.
it.
We'll do that next time. We'll add. And then I'll keep my phone. That's a good point.
Just put the Zoom information on it.
Yes, I got a confirmation of that.
Yeah.
I'll be on time next week.
Okay, so it appears that everybody can hear no matter who's talking, y'all can hear it. So if I'm talking, y'all can hear, and Art's talking, y'all can hear. Is that correct?
No.
Somebody confirm with me.
I got the same problem.
Hey, Carrie, is that correct? Can you hear me? Okay, great. So obviously, we got some new stuff going on with this camera tonight. It's called an owl. There's an owl going on that's kind of going to follow everything going on in the room. So super fun. Hopefully it makes it real enjoyable for you guys at home. So welcome everybody.
Looks like an owl.
It looks like an owl. So welcome. We're excited that we get to be in person with y'all tonight, and we also get to bring all these people from home still with us, just to join us. People are still rolling in.
I'm not doing that no more though, because there's like 40 people on there that didn't come.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people out of state and then worried about the snow. So we had a lot of cancellations today. They would have been here, but they're concerned about the snow.
Yeah.
Next time even more will be with us. So this is kind of a trial run here. As you all know, we've been doing solution groups still on Zoom for the last 2 years. We tried to open back up for in-person groups in the spring, but we just don't really have the space to accommodate how many people come. So it just wasn't working. We had to stick to Zoom. So we're grateful to Orion Industries for allowing us to use this space. So obviously there's room to grow and really exciting. So this will be a trial run, and after tonight we'll get together as a team to kind of decide, okay, how did that work? What's rolling and what does this look like? So we don't have any kind of set schedules or anything. It's just tonight for now. And then we'll roll out and hear some new stuff that we want to do. So it doesn't mean we're not going to be here next week. We'll be on Zoom next week, but we will let you know in the coming weeks what this really means. But this is just a trial run, and so far so good. So anyways, I'm just going to turn it over to Kyle. So we have
No announcements or anything?
Well, that was my
She
only
just did 'em.
announcement, really. That was it. I
Nothing
mean,
about
the only-
auction?
Oh, it's not ready yet. I'll give him you have 60 seconds. So there actually is a couple things I can tell you is that, our group coaching, we don't have a date set yet, but I will be deciding that in the next day or two. It's either going to be the 7th or the 14th. So I'll let you know group coaching. We might do group coaching here. We might do it at the Kent shop. Not sure. But we do have a workshop that we haven't announced officially yet, but that is going to be on Saturday, January 7th. So mark your calendars. Family workshop. Haven't done that in like 3 years. So we're going to be doing that here at this location as well. So that's exciting. So stay tuned for that in the next week.
I thought we were doing that at the Airbnb.
No, now that we have the space, I think
Oh.
this is so much
Okay.
better. Well,
I'll find out.
stay tuned to where it's at. We're still working out these things, but the thing is we have this space, we will see. So that's coming. And, but yeah, I don't really have any other announcements. Are you ready, Kyle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're new out there, I can't really tell if there's anybody new. Natasha's new. This is Kyle Munkers from Rebuild Recovery. He's a manager over there at Rebuild Recovery. But he also brings us our comedy each week. He brings us Kyle's corny comedy corner. So take it away, Kyle.
All right. Decide to clap at the end if you like instead. All right, yeah, thanks, Angie, for the announcements and for not messing up my introduction. No, but I do want to thank everybody for being here, and I guess the Zoom people too. Thank you for being here. You know, it really is an honor that you drove all the way out here in the snow and this far just to watch me tell some jokes. I appreciate it. For those who don't know, Art's going to do a little bit of a talk afterwards. And I really recommend you check it out. It's worth sticking around for. But you know, yeah, no, but really, I do have to say it really has been a real honor for me to be able to sit down in front of the camera every week and open up for solutions, bring some laughter, some joy, you know. I really do consider myself somebody who likes to be uplifting. You know, I'm not what you call a Debbie Downer, you know. I mean, you know what the opposite of a Debbie Downer is. You know, it's a Bethamphetamine. It's a real upper. And actually, fun fact about methamphetamine, I know quite a bit about meth, so you know. Fun fact, meth happens to be one of the best solvents there is. I mean, it can dissolve anything. I mean, family, relationship, integrity, marriage. Yeah. You know, and actually, it's kind of unfortunate because back in the day, I would actually probably consider myself a meth enthusiast. I mean, the more I did meth, the more enthusiastic I got. No, but I mean, for any of out there, I'm sorry if you feel like talking about drugs, maybe a little bit, you know, taboo, maybe with, you know, the current climate and everything. But us recovering drug addicts, we don't feel that way. You know, I mean, I don't know if a lot of you know, but plastic surgery used to be something that was a little bit taboo. I mean, now, you just mentioned Botox and no one lifts an eyebrow. Or their face in general. You know? No, but as I was in the bathroom telling myself these jokes in the mirror, I did come to the realization that, you know, some of my jokes in the past have been maybe kind of womenizing, you know, targeted against women, and, you know, maybe something about keeping the house clean and staying home, doing, you know, something like that. I just want everyone to know that in reality, it's not how I roll. That's not how it is. I mean, in fact, at the Kent house, it's the opposite. I mean, it's very equal portioned out. You know, we all whether male or female, it don't matter. You know, they all do the equal amount of chores, keep it clean, and you know, it's real nice. You know, they're doing a good job. I mean, but lately, it's been kind of hard. Our dishwasher broke, so now we got to find a new dishwasher. So if there's any ladies out there interested, our dishes are piling up. No, but they do a pretty good job. The clients do. They do. I mean, today earlier before we left, you know, Allie was polishing off the tables, and Nate was polishing off the countertops. Art polishing off the Doritos. No, but if you've been around lately, you know that Art's actually kind of been more health conscious and really trying to, you know, have a healthy diet. In fact, he's been hitting the gym. I mean, he's been hitting the gym a lot lately, so much so that Jim's no longer with us. He was a pretty good client, and his parents won't pay for it no more. No, but speaking of good clients, we do have a few. I mean, Gibson's one. He's a good client. We weighed him the other day. It was, it was clean, of course. His drug dealer has some explaining to do. It's clean. No, but he did give me some good advice today, or it was the other day. He said, Kyle, I feel like you do, every week it seems like you have a joke about Viagra, and that I'm sorry, that might be true. Maybe I should stop, but it's just so damn hard. And on that note, continue off that, and I'll end with this. I have a little bit of confession to make, actually. It's kind of weird, but I was thinking about it. The best way I think it would be to die. The best way for me to die would be die having sex, because at least I know it's quick.
Emily's your biggest fan. You got to bring her. If you do a show, you got to bring her.
Every single.
You just got to travel with Kyle.
Yeah, I finally wants to go. I'm like,
I was gonna say, Riley and I agree that was the best one yet. And we're on point. On point.
Well, he's kind of
And,
moved on from the TikTok show to kind of more of a stand-up comedian. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I noticed though is the camera, the owl is only with us, is sitting down. So it didn't catch his face. So that's a bummer for those who.
The headless comedian.
It just was showing his chest, but
that's the best
that
part.
was good. That was good. Great job. Great job, Kyle.
Really good that.
Oh,
I
God.
know.
I was hoping it'd be kind of smaller like this, just give people a chance and get us a chance to get kind of acclimated to this again. Used to be a lot. Oh, you can't hear me? No. I don't know what to do about that.
Oh, they
Come on up.
But the people at home can.
Yeah.
Can everybody at home hear him? Yeah, the
I'm not
people
gonna
at
sit here
home
and
hear you
yell.
so clear. Yeah, so I have to just move up. I forgot one announcement about the raffle. They
Okay.
just want to make sure we cut off the minutes early.
I'll go talk. Tell them.
We are selling raffle here, and we have a big, beautiful fall basket. Those of you at home can participate in our raffle. Winning the basket itself, though, you need to be present to win, but we have some gift cards we'll be drawing for at the end too. So if you scroll up in the chat, there's a link where you can go buy your tickets online. Those of you at home can go ahead and do that. We'll get the email and know that you did and get your tickets in the drawing. Okay, so you can participate. The last 10 minutes of tonight, we'll draw a winner. Okay. And everybody just move on up. Okay.
So this has been a long, if you're new on here, new here, it's been a long kind of conversation that this Tuesday nights have. I don't know how many we've done now, probably like, I would say we've been doing it straight for at least 7 years. So we're over 400 Tuesday nights or something like that. Like when they do a sitcom or something, they say it's your 400th episode or whatever. So we're getting really up there in the episodes. There's so many topics you can talk about with all this stuff. Power. It's like this whole big power struggle that we're all in and that we're in before, and some of you are fighting it now, and some of you, your families are fighting it, and the power that comes around it with addiction and being so many were powerless, power, it's like higher power. It's all this stuff that kind of shows up, and I don't know if any of that's true, but and I don't know that's the thing about it all. It's so ever changing. So for 11 years, it's just been an evolution. It's just been like watching it change, thinking you understand it and then not understand it, thinking you understand something else. I always say it's like this thing, addiction and recovery. It's like this thing that's like, totally like, totally, what was the word I like to use? Totally, it makes perfect sense, but you can't really understand it. It's kind of like that. It's like, it always ends up making sense, but it's kind of baffling, it's kind of like that. So what happens is every Tuesday becomes like a sitcom, and it goes from like Tuesday to Tuesday. And for me, it's just like, I just watch and I just see what's happening this week. And I try to what way I can help. And if I could reach someone here tonight and help you, then that would be good. If it got to you and these words helped, then that's cool. And every time it kind of just keeps showing up different every week. And, one of the things that just kept showing up this week was, I don't even really know how to explain it. And if you're in here and you're in this room and you suffer from this, I don't. So like a lot of the things that I come help people with, I've went through. This one I haven't. I talk about it and tell you what it is. And I don't want to call it yet. I don't want to name it yet, but I know that there's people in this room that are going through it. And so it's kind of like this thing that you're a kid and somebody that's an adult or somebody that's a kid in your life or somebody that's in your life kind of says something to you, kind of makes a comment about you, kind of says something like negative towards you. And then you kind of get acquainted with this idea as a kid. And you start kind of taking it on. Maybe somebody says something about your weight or your face or your mouth or your teeth or, something like that. And then you kind of get acquainted with this idea. Some people might call this like a neurosis. Some people might call it like self-hatred. Some people might call it negative self-talk. I don't know. But it's like, I'm not going to call it that. What I'm going to call it is like an addiction. So people get kind of acquainted with this idea about themselves. And at first, I don't think they like it very much, and they try to like push it away. And then all of a sudden, they kind of adopt it as true. And once it becomes adopted as true, it just seems like what we deal with, people then throughout their life kind of have this belief about themselves, kind of leads to body dysmorphia or, social awkwardness or anxiety. And I've never suffered from it, by the way. So what I mean by that is my mind doesn't do it. I don't have a mind in here that's saying I'm less than or I'm not enough or that I'm ugly or that my body doesn't look good or that I'm fatter than I am. I mean, I probably have a mind that says like I'm too good or something. And like, I gotta, I'm out of balance. I don't think we have a mind that exactly tells us how appropriate we are and what we fit. I think everyone's kind of off. We're all kind of delusional about like whether we're good or not, whether we're the right weight or not, or whether we fit in or not, or whatever it is. But this week has been really tough because, it's the person I haven't been able to help. It's somebody that has this body thing or this self-worth thing. And that what it seems to be is a voice in the head that this person is adopted, that is now they're in a relationship with this voice. And that they're in this relationship and this person is in their head and telling them they're overweight, telling them they're not good enough, telling them they're less than, telling them they don't fit in, telling them they're awkward, something like that. And by the way, I think if you're suffering from it, you probably don't talk about it that much, and I'll get into that why. And so like today, for instance, I had no idea what I was going to talk about tonight, but Angie has this. I hate to out her, but she has this thing. It's the exact way that I've described it. She has this thing with her weight and her life and her body and her body image, and she struggles every day with it to the point where I don't even know that she's struggling with it, but she's doing it silently beside me. She's there. And so today I was talking about group tonight and everything. And then Angie goes, well, I don't know how you put it. What'd you say?
I'm stupid, I don't know.
Now see, here you go. How'd you say it? She said something about being fat.
I was like, you were asking me what the topic was last week.
Oh, and she
And I
couldn't
said,
focus.
I don't know. I said, I'm 50 pounds heavier than last week. I don't even remember.
Yeah. Now you got to.
The difference between last week. My brain can't even remember it.
Okay, So let me use Angie as an example. And if any of you have struggled
too
with
much for a few days, and then I just like whatever.
it's not a few days. So it's not that she doesn't eat too much, and it's not a few days, and she hasn't gained any weight. And there's nothing I can do here. So I want you to understand that what I'm up against this week and what I've come in contact with is human beings that think something about themselves that's utterly not true. That doesn't match up with what the world sees. This somebody that has we can call it inner roommate, we can call something, but they have some voice in their head that tells them something about themselves that is not true. that no one in this room, when they say this is true about me, whether somebody says my face isn't right or my thighs are too thick or whatever, everyone else in the room will say, no, you're crazy. That's not true. But they will not believe it. And I've come in contact with this over and over and over this week. And so with Ange, this what happened, and I'm going to tell you what happened. Somebody at a young age told her something about herself. And then she got acquainted with that idea being true. And soon as it went on about herself, she believed it. And as she believed it, this voice in her head became comfort. This voice in her head became something that like she believed in more than she can believe in me, more than she will believe in you. And so as she's went on with her life, she's since that moment as a little girl, she struggled with her weight and her body ever since. It's been a struggle of her lifetime. She's went to meetings over this. She's been in programs. She's done all this stuff, and it's an obsession. It's an addiction. Now, and I know other people in this room because I personally talked to them, and there's 4 or 5 people that I'm mentioning right now, and you might not want to talk tonight, but you know that I know that you have this voice in your head that's saying this shit to you too. And that I tell you, you don't believe it, and you believed it, and you've went through it too, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And we can call it self-hate or less than, or neurosis or whatever. But what I say is that it becomes an addiction, just like any other. And today I was like thinking about these people, these folks that I've been trying to help this week, these people that suffer from this, including Angie, including other people that I've been dealing with, and I've been thinking about it, and I thought, wow, I do a lot of stuff on victimhood. I want you to know, I never think that people aren't victimized. People are victimized, but I also believe that after 18, 19 years old, there are no victims. There's people that have been victimized, but you don't have to be a victim. And so I started thinking for a second, and I was like, man, the people that suffer from this, they're a victim. They are a victim. They got this voice in their head that tells them bullshit about themselves, and they believe it, and it's going on and on and on and on, and it's driving them to do a certain behavior to try to push this thing that voice says away, whether it's overweight or, and that drives the anxiety, because people that have this, they go into situations and what they're thinking to themselves, and I know Andy very well, what they're thinking to themselves is everyone's going to know. I'm going to go into this social setting and everybody's going to know what's true about me, that I know that's true, but they just haven't seen it yet. We've been together for 2 years, and Angie still thinks I haven't seen her body. No, this is true. She still thinks that I'm going to see something that makes me not want to be with her. That's how deep and serious it is. And so she suffers from this, and it's true for her. And no matter how much we tell her she's beautiful, no matter how much I love her, you can't take it away. And so I was thinking, man, she's victimized by this, and the other people are victimized by this. And then I started thinking about it more and more, and then I go, but wait. And then it dawned on me, yeah, but they don't tell anyone. And I was like, wow, they don't tell anyone. So they talk about it, but then they don't talk about it for weeks, months, years. Why is that? And so I started thinking, what's going on? They're a victim to it. Imagine if you had a ring in your ear and it just buzzed all day, and you just like started getting used to it, and you just went, it buzzed all day. And then about every year you go, yeah, I got a constant buzzing in my ear. It's like, I can't even like get through life. It just buzzes all the time. It never stops. You would do something about it. You would talk until it was fixed. You would go to doctor and doctor and doctor and doctor, and you would do something until it was fixed. See, but this voice becomes, this thing that they do becomes comfort. This thing that they do becomes a way of life. It becomes an addiction. And with any addiction, the pain of it has to outweigh the comfort of it. You see, with any addiction, the pain has to outweigh the comfort. So then I thought, they're not victims. They choose to suffer, just like anyone else. They choose to play with it. So Angie, she doesn't talk about it with me every day. Imagine that. And then she tells me that, I'm suffering from this thing, or not really suffering, but she just tells me that she's been trying to fix it for years, but she can't fix it. It's been over 40 years that she's been suffering from this. 40 years that she's thought about herself in a way that's not true. 40 years that she's listened to this voice in her head beyond any reasonable doubt. Listening to the voice's opinion above anyone's opinion, no matter what they said, this valued opinion that she takes so seriously, that she believes that because she's gained 3 pounds, all of you are going to know, and she can't come tonight. The anxiety that comes from that. So I might not be talking to everybody tonight, but I'm talking to a few. And what I say is, if you don't want to suffer from it, you would talk about it every day. You would do something every day, and you would, how do you help somebody like this? And what I found that there's just no goddamn substitute. There is no substitute for the truth. There's no substitute. And so why I say Angie has an addiction is she cheats on me with it. We're together, but who's she with? She doesn't tell me, so I don't know. So we're going on her day, and how can she be with that all day? She's with it all day. Her voice in her head and her talking about her body, thinking about her body, obsessing about her body, fixing her food. And I'm trying to have a relationship with her. But I don't know if she's going through it. And I say, why does she do that? Because that's comfortable for her. Imagine 40 years of comfort. Imagine living that long. And imagine we pick up this thing as a kid. Somebody tells us about ourselves. We believe it to be true. It's kind of downloaded on our hard drive. That's true about us. It doesn't matter what the world says. And we begin to take it on as our identity. And we begin to suffer from that. And then what do you take? So what is the solution for negative self-talk? How do we help somebody that just, you ever try? You ever have something saying about you and you can't get it out of your head and it's just there? You suffer from it, you need to talk about it tonight. You need to say that you've been through it and you know it, because see, that's the solution. The solution to suffering is like truth and talking about it and wanting it to be done. So I say you wouldn't suffer from it. The Buddha said suffering is from desire. That's what he said. I don't buy that anymore. See, the Buddha said suffering is from desire. He said that we suffer because we want what is to be different. We want something and we don't have it. And that's why we suffer. If we had everything we wanted, we wouldn't suffer. I don't believe that anymore about mankind. I believe suffering is now a choice. I believe suffering is more comfortable if we're not really suffering. See, if we were suffering, we wouldn't suffer. But we're not suffering. It looks like suffering, but it's not. It's an addiction. It's something that provides comfort. We look at people that do drugs. They're not suffering. When they suffer enough, they'll quit. You look at people that do any addiction. When you suffer enough, you'll quit. So there's not suffering in it. There's comfort in it. When the suffering outweighs the comfort, you'll quit. And so and I'm not saying, I've been working with Ange on this every day. We've talked about this and I try to provide as much love. It's not the answer. You see, no matter how much I love her, she loves that voice in her head more. She believes in its opinion over mine. She believes in its opinion over all of yours. And if we all look at her and tell her how beautiful she is, the voice in her head's going to go, they're all lying. They're all not telling you the truth. And then she's going to go home. She goes, why were those people lying to me tonight? This is how it is. And I know other people that have talked to me about this in this room. And this is the one thing that I have never faced in my life. I haven't faced this negative self-talk that I couldn't get away from. I don't have a comfortable neurosis to play with all the time. I don't have something that is like that. Angie does. People in this room do. And I say that the solution to it is to talk about it. Because if you're talking about the voice that's doing this to you, you're wanting to get rid of it. If you're engaging with it and playing with it, you're wanting to keep it. So if you're talking about it, you're saying, this is what the voice in my head's saying now. It's saying that I'm fat. It's saying I'm overweight. Can you guys believe this? That's not how it does it. That's not how people do it. Voice in my head saying, my face is all screwed up. My teeth suck. Whatever it's saying to you. And then you're not telling anyone that it's saying that. Imagine the power you're giving to it when you're doing that. Imagine that. And so if somebody's saying something crazy to you, you need to yell the truth. You need to say, that's nuts. Stop saying that. Otherwise, you're choosing to suffer. And you're playing with it. You're not victimized by it. You're comforted by it. So Angie has a whole game that she plays, and she's been comforted by that game for 40 years. She gets out of whack with the food. She gets overweight, and then she does a cleanse. And then she gets back on and she eats good and she's happy about eating good. And she gets that whole week and she feels good, feels a little better. She thinks she solved it. Then she has a cupcake. Then she has a piece of bread. and then it goes down. And this cycle's been repeating for years and years and years and years and years. And I say that thing, that neurosis, that thing in her head is her best friend. It's like her little lover, her addiction. She's addicted to it. It provides comfort, safety from the world, makes it so she doesn't have to, like, I don't know, but it's an addiction. So this negative self-talk is an addiction. It prevents us from opening up. It prevents us. It keeps us a little buddy in our head that we can, like, do the world with, stand by us, you know, almost like, what do they call it? The Stockholm syndrome. You know, when you're kidnapped, you fall in love with your kidnapper. It's like that. Or another way to put it is a presupposing of a non-existent thing, seeking salvation from a non-existent thing. So this little thing that we create and is created is not real. And then we spend our life trying to get away from it. So she has an idea that was created that isn't real, that her body isn't right. And she spent an entire lifetime trying to get away from that idea. Running from something that's not true. Seeking salvation from, that's the same with addiction, by the way. Presupposing of a non-existent thing, seeking salvation from a non-existent thing. I create a world that sucks and I hate, and I do drugs to get away from that world that sucks and I hate. And none of it's real. It's the same thing. I create a fake world in my head that's not real and doesn't exist, and then I run from it. And all the love in the world doesn't help us. Doesn't matter how much I tell her she's beautiful, she doesn't believe me. She thinks I'm crazy. She thinks I've lost it. How can he still think I'm beautiful? I tell her every day. She's got it. And there's other people in this room that got it. And the solution is to tell the truth about it. The solution is to out your roommate, to out this person in your head that's abusing you. To point them out, say it. And I say that there's nothing more beautiful than it too. I've noticed these, I'm talking about four or five people that I've worked with lately. And there's nothing more beautiful when they say it and believe it. And they feel it. And you can know they're not being a victim, but they're talking about this voice in their head that tells them this stuff. And they're talking about it and how they're suffering from it. And it's very real. In that moment, and it's beautiful. And it's like you see the beauty in the person, and you see, you know, it's not like they're making it up like, oh, no, they're like, no, I'm ugly or I'm fat. And it's like, whoa, you're not. But you can't convince them. Nothing you can say.
Or is it, you know, so maybe you get a seed time when you're young and impressionable. But in the case of a woman's weight and what a woman should look like, we have a societal norm and a culture that says every day, this is what a perfect woman looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and it's starting to change a little bit. You know, you see some of the new artists coming out, particularly females, that are overweight and really flaunting their overweightness. But society just reinforces it every day, in every commercial, in every TV show, in every magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a bitch story.
Well, you know, I want to talk about this relationship between the human and the voice that's saying. I want to talk about that specifically because at that level, what I'm suggesting is it doesn't matter what society said. It doesn't matter if society changed their idea of what a beautiful woman is. They're still convinced. They've been convinced since the moment that person told them that their thighs were too big or their butt was too big. They didn't need commercials or television or anything. They took that one thing that person said, and they've been holding on ever since. Or that one mean thing that one bully said, or whatever it is, and they've been holding on to it ever since. And if the commercials would say that they are beautiful, that the exact prototype of who they are is what the world wants, they still would not believe because they've been downloaded with that. And I think that the way of ending that relationship is the way to stop suffering from that relationship. But you notice we say in addiction, if you're not talking about the problem, that's probably because you're getting high. That's true. If a drug addict ain't talking about his recovery and doing something, that's probably because they're lying and getting high. Well, if she ain't talking to me about her problem, that's because she's in the love affair with the problem. That's because she's right in the middle of its comfort zone. She's right in her spot. And then I find out a week later, oh shit, you're back in it. It's like that. And then you want to love them. You want to try to help them with love, but it doesn't work. Don't matter what you say. It doesn't matter.
So I guess, what's the point of talking about it?
Well, the same thing with a buzzing in your ear.
But then you go to doctors and specialists for the rest of your life, and it's ineffective, treatment's ineffective.
No, okay.
So you can
okay.
be aware that she's suffering and try and.
Power greater than yourself. All right. So we came to believe, step 2, we came to believe in a power greater than ourselves. So I didn't know. Well, when I got sober, there was no idea for me that there was a God. I believed in something, the universe. I believed in the universe. I believed in whatever I believed in, not much, But there's a God. I only believed in the guilt he provided, truthfully. I thought, well, there's a God. There must be a God because every time I do bad shit, this dude's making me feel like shit, whatever it is. So I believed in his guilt, But when I did get sober, the voice in my head was telling me obsessively to go back to my relationship with drugs. That's what it was saying to do. Beyond every evidence that I shouldn't, beyond any idea, this voice was still convinced that's insane, right? That's insanity that after all the evidence, I would still want to go use drugs today. That is completely insane. So step 2 says we would be restored to insanity. And what step 2 means, I diminish the power of this obsession. I stop my relationship with it. And the way that it happened for me was prayer. So this voice said, hey, you should get high. But then I said, please, God, take this away. Get me rid of this thing. See, the problem wasn't the drugs. It was the voice telling me to do them. So in order for me to get sober, I had to diminish this voice. I had to pray. I had to say, dude, I had to take its power away because it was powerful. And I had to be restored to sanity. And there is no question that Angie, beautiful woman, is deeply insane when it pertains to her body. Insane. And so when you deal with that insanity and she's believing it to be true and listening to insanity beyond all evidence, no matter what you get, that is an addiction. That's the same thing. And guess what the voice is telling her to do? The same shit over and over and over and expect different results. She's done the same shit how many years? Just say it.
So many, I think.
Same shit over and over and get different results. Insanity. The only way out is when she doesn't want to be part of that insanity anymore. And instead of trying to fix the problem, because there is no problem, she sees the real problem. The real problem is the voice in her head telling her there's a problem. That's the problem. And if you don't talk about that voice, then you're with it and you believe in it. If somebody came up to you and said, Jeff, you are a fat, ugly loser. And he said it every day and just kept telling you, you're a fat, ugly loser. You're a fat, ugly loser. At some point you go, dude, shut up and get away from me. You wouldn't just start buying in and go, I got to start losing weight. Shit, man. I'm a fat, ugly loser. You wouldn't do that, would you? You see, you would out the boy, you would out the person, you would out the thing, you would smash it, you would take its power away, you would tell it to shut up. You wouldn't try to fix the problem. She's trying to fix the problem. There is no problem. How's she going to fix it? If somebody's sitting in this room and they think that their face is not appropriate, something has told them their facial features aren't good, how are they going to fix that? So the rest of their life, they got to, oh, hey, man, you can't go to that party. Remember your face? You can't go out. But the problem isn't the face. The problem is the voice. And you got to be restored to sanity. And step 2 is a pretty good means to do this. But see, I don't know if God took the obsession away and came down and fixed my mind, or me praying against the voice just took the voice's power away. Which one is it? I still don't know. But I'll tell you what, I don't have an obsession to use drugs anymore. It works. So I like the people that, if you suffer from this, you're in a relationship with an abuser. An abuser that's telling you every day to fix a problem that doesn't exist. And you're believing it. The problem doesn't exist. And your abuser is telling you that it does. And everybody else in the world, no matter how much love they provide, no matter what they say, you're not going to believe them because you value the opinion of your abuser. What's the way out of that? Other than separation, other than actually outing this thing and saying, hey, I'm coming out of my apartment because my roommate, my partner is beating me every day. I can't go home to that anymore. And it's not true. But if I stay in there and I stay in the relationship, I get to be a victim, but also there's comfort there. That's the sad part about all of it, is there's deep, deep comfort. My worry is that Angie will not get out of this until there's enough suffering. See, the problem though with the body stuff is it never leads to enough suffering. Different from addiction. The addiction leads to enough suffering and everybody, it's very visual to everybody and you start hurting other people. But when we suffer from this negative self-talk, we don't hurt people. We don't cause suffering. We only cause it with ourselves. And so there's not enough stuff for somebody to hit bottom. So it's an addiction with no bottom. So they suffer for our whole life. You see, but there is people in this room right now that have insanity in their head. And for me, I've been in this thing 11 years, and this is the first time I've ever talked about it because it ain't me. I'm probably insane the other way. My voice thinks I'm too good. But I'm just as insane, but that's the deal. My voice speaks fairly highly of me. And I get real comfortable with it too. Yeah, you're right, dude. Yeah, no, you're right, dude. I am smarter than everyone. Yeah, dude. They're sick. You're healthy. Why would they come to you? Yeah, you're the coach. What are they? It's just insane. I just don't suffer from it.
I feel like negative self-talk is plays for me, played a huge part of why I started doing drugs in the first place.
Absolutely.
Like why, like I've known people in recovery for food and it's like it's daily. It's almost harder to do that. Like it's easier to surrender to drugs than it is to avoid in your head. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember like my mom would always tell me when I was little, why do you talk bad about, but I didn't know. I just like thought I was horrible, like about everything. From when I was like, from all I can remember.
Right.
Like, why? I don't know. It's just so crazy.
You do things directly confirm those defects that we would.
Yeah. Like,
Absolutely right. Confirmation bias comes into play. And we find evidence of why this voice is right. And we disregard all other evidence. That's right. I do want to give a plug for Ibogaine, Nate, just by the way. I do, because what we are looking for here is a factory reset. For a lot of people. And Nate, who's here tonight, recently has done Ibogaine, and it does that. It's a drug that does that, and he will recommend it highly to you. And I believe that to be true also, that could definitely help. And getting Angie down there and doing that too might be a good, to eliminate that voice. To eliminate that voice. You want to say anything, Nick?
I've already said a lot about it today, but yeah, I think Ibogaine is, incredibly useful treatment for not just drug addiction, but for depression, I mean, all kinds of,
Like, what were other people there getting it for?
PTSD. The other two men that were there with me were, war veterans, and they, yeah, they're for PTSD. But it just, I mean, it completely changed my way of thinking. Not only, you know, eliminating my desire to use drugs to change the way I feel about myself, but it just made me change the way I felt about myself, period.
Did you have negative self-talk before?
Yes,
And did it take it away?
yes.
So I wanna,
What is this called?
Ibogaine. Okay, so we're gonna open it up. I want anyone that, you know, to me, if you have a voice like this in your head, I think it's important that you say something tonight. And I think it's important that you out this thing that's going on. It's an underlying addiction that not many people you know will tell you they have, but I'm seeing it more and more and more. And, you know, for me today, it was like, wow, how do we help these folks? And, you know, you can see the suffering and you can see it and the covering up and a lot like any other addiction. So if you suffer from these things and it's something that, you know, has forced drug use too, probably, then it must be talked about. But again, you know,
This voice in our head always
what do you mean?
well, I don't know. I think sometimes the biggest voice in our head will drive us to go out.
I think the people that suffer from this know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about right now, then you don't suffer from it. And what I call it is you're alone with this thing. And this thing is an obsession. And you don't know what it's like. You know what it's like to have an obsession of using drugs. Think how much time you spent on that. Okay. The people that are suffering from this negative self-talk and this kind of thing, they're doing that much drug use with it.
Keeps you up at night.
It's all day. It's their life.
I was thinking about that too. Like, what if Andrew thinks that voice is the motivated to stay up on it?
Oh no, that's what you think.
That's what I was thinking.
See, that's what you think. Yeah, I know. And that's what she thinks. That's what she thinks. She thinks if you take that voice in her head away from her, then she's gonna get so big nobody will love her. She won't even let me take that voice away because that's her trusty companion that's keeping her in shape. And if I take that thing away, what's gonna happen? She's gonna let loose and just, you know, implode. Yeah.
I think the weird thing about it is that when we heard that at very first, we heard someone tell us that
Yeah.
it was in their voice, but now it's in our voice.
Isn't that weird?
It's our voice telling us,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Like I said, you get acquainted with the idea and then it becomes a friend and then it becomes you. That's right. Yeah.
You learn a strategy for it. Well, say if this pops up and I'm too tall, but I do remember hearing that in
Yeah.
kindergarten.
Yeah.
12 years. I do that. Every year they're trying to change the rules. I mean, you know, just doing different things. So, if you just adopt strategy,
Well, here's the thing about that, because we can't seem to teach people a strategy to not use drugs. Okay, meaning not wanting to use drugs is the strategy.
Yeah.
Meaning when I get there and I've gotten to this place where I don't want to use drugs, I now start learning to deal with life and I start applying things. Okay, well, what strategy can we give someone if they're still of the opinion that they want to be with this thing?
See, and I think the really challenging thing is that you have to
food every single day.
That's a challenge. That's right.
That's the part where, is I could say that I have this relationship and, I don't know exactly when it started, but I do know comments that were made about, and I don't think that, and they weren't even like, I don't think they were meant in a negative way, but I took them in a negative way.
Yeah.
Like in elementary school. And so, and then I believe what the scale says as a way of knowing if I compare weight from years ago to drug use to current, and that's how I base on if I'm doing good or not. It doesn't really matter what my body looks like.
Right.
It's the ideas that I've been given and that I've taken on as truth. Doesn't really matter what anybody says. It's what I've formed.
So does this thing travel with you? Does it travel to work with you? Does it travel with you?
Again, because I'm already thinking about what I'm gonna eat for breakfast, what I'm gonna eat for lunch, how much did I eat for lunch? Should I go a little bit? You know, it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
The scale is in my bathroom. It's a daily, just like, I mean, yes, I know I obsess on it.
Yes.
So I have two thoughts I just want to thought there. Number one, when you say talk about it, what's hard for me about that is like every time you say that, my voice is like, no, that's like the opposite. Like if I talk about it, it's like looking for attention. I'm not looking for attention. And so it's like talking about seems like the opposite. Like I've got to hide it because that's crazy.
So when I say talk
like
about
even
it
tonight, when you're talking about me, like my voice, my head is going, oh Jesus. People are like sitting here going, geez, would you just stop talking about her? You know what I mean? Like, oh geez, would you
Yeah,
just
it's kind of what I
like
was
it's
saying.
about
That's what I
Angela.
thought too.
when I say talk about it, I want to. What does it say? Not the problem. What does it say the problem is? That's right. So this thing in my head just said I'm not good enough. Rather than
Well,
it just said you're not good enough. Now, do you believe it? Okay. Well, you must because you value its opinion. And so if me and Angie, I'm in a war, by the way, just so you know. Me and this voice in Angie's head's in a goddamn war. No, we're in a war. Because I love her. And I think she's beautiful. And I think he's wrong. And I think that voice needs to shut the fuck up. She agrees with it. She will not take my opinion over it. And it drives everything in her life. And it doesn't matter how many times I tell her, you're beautiful. Gain some weight. It doesn't matter because that voice is the problem. There is no other problem.
Okay,
Who
well,
cares if she gained 5 more pounds?
so let me
Who
share
gives a
this
shit? Who
point,
gives a shit if she gained 20?
so,
Who
okay,
gives a shit? See, the voice in her head's going, 20 pounds? That's ridiculous. You'll never love me. That voice is crazy.
well, the second part of that is like, there must be this knowing. There is this knowing because like there's this knowing that it is insane and it's brutal. It is so crazy that literally throughout my life, I have this like vision of like, if I could only, like my life is perfect. Like I love my life so much. The life is so great, except this one part that it is so overwhelming, like so huge that it's like, fuck, if I could just, I will lay in bed and I will visualize cutting out, if I could cut out this piece of me, like in my brain, this piece, if I could just cut that out and get rid of it. Like I have this vision. So clearly I visualize if I could just get rid of this piece.
You go to the lake and she sees other women's body, and we're talking about other women that weigh a lot more than her or whatever, and she'll see other people and she'll think that their bodies are beautiful. And she'll go, and then she'll go, but I could never be free like that. How are they so free?
It's like they're a curvy woman, I can look at it and go, that's so beautiful. It just doesn't, I don't know. It is, it is beyond
You just
crazy.
like,
I
it
just
just
felt
sounds
like
like
medication,
confidence.
so they're
Like for me, I literally have been medicated and still am medicated for my whole life. Like, you know, and I don't know if I could function really without something. I don't know, but that's also like not good too. I don't know. Like that's, you know.
Well, I want to be very clear. What problem we're talking about here, what we're talking about here. We're not talking about her weight. We're not talking about society. We're talking about this personal relationship. And I'm talking about how I learned about this. How I learned about this was being with a woman who's in this type of neurotic relationship with an insane voice in her head.
Same voice doesn't allow you to get clean.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
same voice
That's the
keeps-
same thing.
Same voice keeps driving you saying,
But here's the rub. Here's the rub. The rest of us had the luxury of bottom. The rest of us have had the luxury of losing everything. We've had the luxury of losing that. She's been able to be a functioning addict for 40 years.
Yeah.
You see, she gets to function. She doesn't lose her money. This stuff should take away your.
I mean, yeah, you could see in her life that it.
See, if she,
But like.
yeah, but if she, like,
You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like she's functioning.
see, she thinks the consequences are weight, but the consequences are a loss of creativity, a loss of love, a loss of connection, a loss of safety, a loss of feeling comfortable, a loss of ease. Those are the consequences. You see? Yeah.
And it came from a lifetime of it. And I think it started out because I had parents that told me they would make all the decisions for my needs. It just snowballed every which way and the way that. But my biggest thing is that fasting and divorcing the damn scale. I divorced. I divorced. And there are times I'll fight in the closet, and I won't.
Yeah, but see that's like,
Burying your pipe.
yeah, that's not finding that, yeah. Huh? Okay. Okay, I would say the first step would be this understanding that the voice in your head is insane. That's the first step. And then the second step would be outing the voice. And then it would be a thing about, you know, what is the real problem here? It's the real problem that we would all not love Denise if she gained 40 pounds. But Denise gained 40 pounds and Annie was, none of us would have a problem with it. All of us would think you were just as beautiful. There would be nobody in the room. And see, so that's the terrible part of this. And then we actually think the solution is the weight loss. And it's like we're constantly seeking solutions and that doesn't fix the problem. Do you think this voice in your head's ever going to give up? Can you imagine one day where the voice in Angie's head goes, you made it. You made it. Never do you have to worry about this again. I'm letting you go. Our relationship is over. Good job with the weight loss. You did it.
Talk to you about it. You don't like relate, but like the whole other person. Define like.
You don't call what I'm doing tonight relating.
Well, my book always says, when I lose the weight, then I'll get there. When I lose the weight, I get there. Then I'll do what you're saying. Then I'll do, and it never.
But I say, see, Angie loves this. She loves this. Now, I don't think that she knows she loves it. Just like you don't know you love your kidnapper. Just like you don't know you love your you don't really love your abuser. You don't really love your kidnapper. But you're comforted by it so deeply that you can't give it up. You've lived with it and learned to be with it so long, you wouldn't know how to not be with it. You've been with it. You've been with it every day. Imagine breaking up with something that you've been with every day of your life, that's walked with you, that's carried you through everything, that is your go-to, that comforts you from everything. You can't give that up. That's deep. Ryan, you want to come up here? Yeah, you want to come up and say something? Can I ask you something?
It's crazy that you're saying that it starts childhood, you know what I mean? It's just, all it does is really scares the shit out of me. 'Cause Cheyenne, my daughter, she's a little bit bigger right now.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? She's already getting made fun of at school for it already. You know what I mean? And now it's in her head that she's too big. Already, I mean, and she's only 8 years old. You know what I mean? It's already in her head that she's.
yeah,
So for coming from an 8-year-old, you know what I mean? How does an 8-year-old tell his voice to stop at such a young age?
that's right.
You know what I mean? How does that 8-year-old, when they don't even know what, you know what I mean? They don't even know how to control the thoughts in their brain.
Well, I think, again, talking about that, boys, outing it to the public. And hopefully, as we out this to the public, we begin to diminish the power of the voice and start taking on some different voices. There's a chance that you might start believing in the public. You might start believing when you hear it enough that it can kind of counteract the insane voice when
Yeah,
you
I mean,
begin to talk about it.
Every time that she says anything, everybody around her, you know what I mean? It's like Cheyenne, you're 8
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah.
Like you'll grow into, you know what I mean, or whatever the case.
But you got to watch out because there might be somebody in your life that's still doing it. Ryan told me last night. You want to tell me what you said last night? Do you want to talk about it all? You don't have to.
You can, sure.
Just talk. No, you kind of tell me what your voice in your head says to you. What you kind of explained to me you went through. You don't have to.
I can.
Yeah.
Um,
This Ryan, he's new. He's on about his 3rd day, so there's a lot for him. But I say that if we as people have gotten comfortable with this neurosis or this thing that's a liar in our head, that getting out of your comfort zone is a real thing to do and being forced out of it. So,
I'm sure, yeah, when I was in 3rd grade, I was out on the playground with my best friend at the time. Or, yeah, my lifelong best friend, no longer with us. But he made a comment about me. When I was younger, I needed braces. There's other features I'm not so keen on also. And he pointed them out to me. And up to that point, I didn't think that there was anything wrong with how I looked at all. It didn't even occur to me. And I don't think he was trying to be mean or anything, but when he said it, I just felt this like I was shutting down. Like not even as an adult, I don't think I've ever felt such an intense, like, you don't matter kind of feeling. Like, and yeah, I've been sitting back there thinking as you've been talking about this, and it really has, ever since that day, caused me to avoid going places, like even leaving the house to go to the grocery store is hard. I barely look at the cashier. There's relationships that I've missed out on. Several, all of them basically. I wouldn't let them work out. I couldn't, because how could they possibly see anything of value?
you thought your teeth were messed up and
Yeah.
your nose.
Yeah.
He said he wanted what did he say? What kind of nose did you want?
Oh, you're perfect, Hollywood. But even if I did that, well, I thought that once I got my braces, everything would be fine.
Yeah,
And I'd be able to smile, and
yeah.
I could be my true self. But then it just went to the next thing, and then if that got fixed, it would go to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. It was just, yeah. So that voice, it really is something that's like so abysmal and insidious. Like, it got under my skin that day, and like I don't know if it'll ever leave. And I've missed out on so many opportunities and so much love, I think, in my life over that.
Confidence, you have confidence.
Well, I don't think until he's doing what he's doing now, gaining separation, resetting, I don't think you can gain confidence. How could you? How could you be confident? How could you not be anxious when you believe that you're that?
long as you believe it, it's not. gonna
Yeah,
happen.
and that voice in our heads is very persuasive. And, it's insane. And we all can look at you and no matter how much we tell you that, your teeth are perfect and your nose is beautiful. And,
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know, you used to say like you need to commit to something once you, because I feel like I felt like that when I first came, like, you don't have confidence. You
Mhm.
have a couple days sober and then you like, but once you build a little bit, then you're like, okay, maybe I am not super ugly, or maybe like a comment that someone said to me that used to affect me doesn't anymore, but I don't know how anyone can get like that with 3 days sober.
Yeah. Well, I'm just
That-
I'm
yeah,
just
no,
pushing him right
that's,
now, but
like, so
but
hard.
no, I just want him outed right now. I want you to understand that this is how it's helped. That you get there and you begin to diminish the power of this. And you begin to talk about this as if it's not you. Yes, Denise?
I just think that as you guys work together, I think people like us that have these stories, we have to work together. And I can say things 1,000 times over. Like
Yeah.
you say, you throw shit against the wall and you take what works.
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
But I think that, if those of us that have this issue.
You should form a good group. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Well, let's be clear what that would be. Let's be clear what that would be, because it could get real dicey. Because it's not it's what it's about is at least understanding that is the entire problem. And if it starts going down a road where he needs to fix his teeth, or you need to lose weight, or we need to get rid of this, or we need to eat better, or we need to do that, we are on the wrong road. Because that's not where we're going here. We gotta go where we gotta be able to be like, hey, we can gain 20 pounds and be fine. That's it. It's gotta be like that. And it's because we have to see that they didn't put these thousands and thousands of weight loss books out there without knowing this, without understanding the insanity that people are and the pushing of this stuff. And it's not just weight, there's other things here, and we've been struggling with this idea all week of somebody having a lack of self-confidence. But what we don't talk about is why. And we always say, you should just gain confidence by doing esteemable acts, or you need to gain self-esteem by doing that. That's all horseshit. Because you've got something inside of you that's telling you why not to be confident. And that's the clutch, that voice that's telling you why you shouldn't be confident. It's very clear to you and you know why. And then somebody goes, oh, well, they have low self-esteem or they have a lack of confidence. No, they have an insane voice in their head. They have a crazy voice that is like driving all this kind of behavior.
Well, I think the interesting thing is, you really opened my mind to even thinking about it more in depth, but it is about, it's a relationship. I've had this thing for this long
That's
time. I
right.
can't just let it go because I've lost weight. It's still going to be there. It's not about the weight. It's about holding on to this piece that I've had most of my life, just like with the drugs and the alcohol. I had a relationship that they pretty much ruined my life. So it was easy to break it off. It wasn't easy, but it came to a point where there was no other choice but to leave this unhealthy relationship. The voice isn't enough to go, oh, this is devastating my life.
That's so insane.
This is breaking me up to where I'm losing jobs and I'm wrecking my life.
No, and the voice also
It also says
convinces you that it's the solution, that it's the relationship that you
Well,
should be in.
it's a love-hate. It's always there. It's not like an easy thing to say,
Yeah, but-
no, I'm not gonna do this anymore.
But see, if Denise and Angie and you, and you're reading the weight loss books and you're doing your diet, and you're doing the exercise, or you've got it, that voice is telling you this is the relationship that you should be in. Listen to me. I will take you to the promised land. And it's very, very convincing, And so that voice, you can't figure out that that's the problem because you think you're in the solution. And then you think you're going to arrive at the solution. But if you look over the last 10 years, when have you got to the solution? When has this voice guided you in the proper direction? No matter how much we tell this beautiful girl back there in the room, Emma, how beautiful she is, no matter how many days, no matter how much we tell her, no matter how, you all please take a look, just turn around, she's beautiful. Just look at her. She's so beautiful. No matter how many times we tell her she's beautiful, she doesn't believe it. She just won't believe it. Now think of that. She doesn't think she's beautiful. She doesn't see herself the same way that we do. She's suffering from an insane addiction, an abusive relationship with somebody in her head that is actually a nut. Yeah.
For some reason we become super hypercritical of one thing, and then instead of seeing ourselves as a whole package with the thing. Like,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we have acting.
Here's your failure.
You're
Yeah.
on, you're acting every day. It's just the acting no matter what.
Yeah.
And then once you look at the last the whole picture, you're like, yeah, I'm a whole package. I'm not just this one left leg.
That's right. That's right. And there's men in this room, and there's people in this room, and there's other folks that are suffering from this in a different way. And you know, the reason that they don't really want, and if they're not raising their hand and not saying I suffer from this, why?
Because there's their voice.
Because the voice is saying, don't do it. You don't want to eliminate me. I'm your friend. Don't tell them. I'm right. They're wrong. Don't talk about it. I always see drug addicts when they're not talking about, it's like when they're not talking about the solution, it's like, oh, what's up? You know, if you're a drug addict in this room and you can't talk about what you did to recover, then you haven't recovered. And if you're suffering from an obsession here of the mind or something like that, and you can't talk about what you did to get rid of the voice, then you haven't recovered.
Or just to acknowledge that you have an obsession.
You see drug addicts very suspicious when you see a drug addict and they don't tell you what they did to recover. Like what? It's like somebody that's 300 pounds and you go, how'd you lose the weight? And they go, oh, I just work a lot. Really? Yeah, I just work a lot. I read now. Oh.
A lot of sex.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I heard that one before. Okay. Anyone else got a
And
desire?
Renee.
Yeah. Okay. What's Renee's question?
Hey, Renee. Let's test this out from the audience. Hi. Ooh, we can hear.
Very
you.
good.
Hey Art, I love your topic. I love it because, you know, Angie, you're not alone. We all suffer from something, whatever it is, but we all have this like stupid something in our head that tells us something. So I totally agree with Art about the like shining your light on it. So calling out that voice, whatever it is. So like if you have a fear or whatever, admit it, like, or a failure of some sort. Let's say you have an addiction. If I have an addiction, I'm going to say, hey, I have an addiction to, like I had an addiction to cigarettes at one time in my life. I just talked about, I was like, man, I can't quit this cigarette thing. And then I realized like, that's all I focused on was how am I going to quit the cigarettes? How am I going to quit the cigarettes? I mean, I was like, I got to quit the cigarettes. It's terrible for me. I know it is. I can't, breathe and all this. And then I realized like, I got to focus on something different. So I started finding other things to do that, whatever it was that interests me. So, okay, like I want to smoke a cigarette. Nope, I'm going to go to the gym. I go to the gym, I make friends, right? And then your positive out of that is I made some new friends. I got a little workout in. I didn't smoke 3 cigarettes during that 1 hour, and it's little steps like that. And you just keep reminding yourself maybe. So maybe if it's like food, I mean, I'm no different, Angie, like, oh man, I want to have a piece of cake. Okay, well, I'm going to go take the dog on a walk instead. Find the joy in that, maybe. I don't know.
You're different, Renee. No, I want to be clear because this. I think there is a difference. There's a difference between an obsessive addiction and, you know, like there's a difference. And I think the people that I'm talking to tonight absolutely know what I'm talking about. And what I mean by being in a relationship with an obsession and it traveling with you and it being the thing that you think about, and the people that I'm talking about right now, when you decide you want to go on vacation, you got to make plans. You got to decide what you're going to eat. You got to decide how you're going to live. And then when that summer trip to the lake comes, you're spending days in regret, worrying about that bathing suit that you're going to wear and what people are going to think of you at the lake. And you know, Angie spent years of her life figuring out how to strategically cover up her body, strategically. And she's done this stuff, and she's an obsession so much so that when me and her in a relationship, I've now noticed that there's three of us here. There's me, her, and her obsession. Just like she would notice that if I was doing drugs, just like she would notice if I had an obsession. But there's three of us for sure. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's a good question. When does it go? I think all of us have insecurities. I think that's true. You'd be crazy not to. But I think that this what I'm talking about tonight is going a little deeper than just insecurities. This is another level. This has gone insecurities. I don't know if I'm going to talk right at the show. I don't know if I can be enough for this woman. I don't know if I'm going to succeed or fail. That's insecurity. But insanity is when we could ask 100 people a question about ourselves and they would all tell us a different answer than we think. That's insane. Okay. So that's the difference.
But I think, you know, the way the brain works is you're getting some very deep neural channels with that voice that are being reinforced every day.
Yes.
And it's really hard to recondition your brain to get rid of that. You know, one thing is if you can pick out one little thing that voice is telling you, just one, and it's a flag. And every time you hear that voice tell you that, you go, bullshit, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Bullshit. And you get angry.
Mhm.
And then you get conditioned. Every time that little voice says that one thing, you go, bullshit.
Well,
And
we
then
do
you-
know it's going to be a
If
rebellion.
you do that enough, it'll eventually turn that little thing off and it'll take a brick out of the wall.
Yep.
That starts tearing it down. But I mean, that's hard work. And you gotta identify that one thing that's gonna trigger you every time.
Well, I hope tonight that what I've done is, I hope I've shined a light on the real problem for people first. Now, how we solve it is many different ways. But hopefully somebody leaving here tonight doesn't think that their problem is still the weight, the way they look, their face, something like that. I hope that people leaving don't think that. And I hope that they've identified a little bit of insanity inside of them. Once we've gotten to that point, we can then talk about it. We can find solutions as long as we're pinpointing the right problem. But if somebody like Ange thinks that the problem is that she's overweight tonight, we are never going to solve the problem. It is going to go on forever and we're never going to get there. And if somebody like Ryan here thinks that his face is not the right way, how's he going to solve that? So I wanted to make sure that we change and put a spotlight on our own insanities and neurosis and how these neuroses become our friends and how they comfort us and how they carry us and give an excuse to not succeed and they give us an excuse to not go places and they get so comfortable that everywhere we go, we're out of our comfort zone other than home alone with that thing. And then we don't want to be with it anymore. So we get some booze or we get some alcohol or we get something because we can't do it anymore. So there it is. And so there's different types, but it's like, I think of this opening up of a solution group. I want everyone to know, look at us all and we got to be real clear. We're all suffering in some way and there is suffering. We got to make sure we're not choosing it. We got to make sure that we're actually, on the other side of this thing and deciding that, I am kind of choosing to suffer when I do this. And there's only so far that I can go before I can, we don't as human beings do anything that there isn't a payoff or a comfort to. And when the pain outweighs the comfort, we will stop that behavior. whatever it is, but the comfort that these neuroses provide, the comfort that this way of life provides, the excuses that it provides, the relationship, the Stockholm syndrome, the love affair. It's very hard. I get a little almost angry with this voice in Angie's head because it's like it can affect our love. She'll value its opinion over mine, no matter how much I tell her she's beautiful. Anyone else want to share before they,
Do the raffle.
before we do that? And,
Did you get those, Johnny did something online just now, and then Teresa Robin?
and I want to be clear, we're talking about Solution Group, and that's the name of it. And one of the steps to having solutions is to pinpoint the problem. And so tonight we've pinpointed different problems, and every week, and when we come here, you know, if you have this kind of relationship going, if you got this kind of thing going, come and talk about it. And by all means, please congregate, please hook up. And you got 4 people in this room that you got teammates with, and there's everyone going through something. So that's what this is about, is this community getting back together again and actually be in a place where people can come. Not too happy with the library effect right now. We have to like look at the lighting and make it a little cooler, but it's still pretty good for our first run. Huh?
Nice to have
Anything?
people in person.
Yeah.
The jokes are pretty good.
The jokes are great. Thank you guys for participating and showing up.
All right. So, okay, you guys, we got you guys at all that. I got tickets. So what should we draw for? What? Becky? Help me. So we have 3 gift cards. Is that right? So we have 3 gift cards to the basket, right? Should I do the basket last? Okay, I'm gonna do the basket last, but let me be clear that if you win the basket, you have to have presents win it, because we want you to take it home. Okay, so we'll draw again. Yeah, we don't want to. Or maybe we should do that first, because then the other person can get one of these. But then that would be a real bummer. Yeah, exactly, because then they're out. But yeah, let's do the basket first. I do that first. Some people just put their initials, so. Oh, okay. She's mixing up really good. She's in the drawing, so that's why I'm drawing, but she's mixing up really good. Okay, so this is for the basket. This is for the big basket. It's a huge fall cooking basket. It's like got $150 worth of stuff in it. It was actually Debbie's friend. It's my sister. Your sister-in-law. And my sister from Virginia bought it for a couple $100 or whatever at the auction, but she flew. How silly. It's this ginormous basket. And I don't know what she was thinking, but she paid like, I don't know how much for it, but so she donated it back for us to earn some more money tonight. So the winner.
Some of us need a voice in our head that tells us we're not so good. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, but she can have a gift card. Okay.
No.
You know?
Really? That's how it's gonna go?
Yeah.
Because that's why we did that first.
The people that need it, they didn't laugh.
Teresa Rod.
Do you like that?
Teresa bought $200.
Yeah.
I think she should give her a gift card.
Yeah.
It's Sean. Let's make sure Teresa.
Yeah. Like, not me. I'm great.
Teresa. So she can pick.
Yeah.
Let's get you unmuted, Teresa. Thank you, Teresa, for the support. Thanks for buying tickets. So you can pick which gift card. Well, okay, let me give, we didn't think about this. Let me give Teresa the option, because see, the reason why you have to be present in person is because like, we can't deliver it to you and mail it to you.
Yeah.
But I live in Enumclaw, so if you want the basket, you get the basket, Teresa. Or if you want to pick a gift card, you can pick a gift card. So totally up to you.
You don't live in Enumclaw, you live in Auburn.
You're right, but my house is so I'll be there on Friday. So if you want the basket, I can
Who's that?
take onto
Teresa
it.
who?
Teresa Patton.
Sorry, lugging that damn basket around. She gets
I will love it. Because she makes it. She can have whichever she wants. So, Teresa, your choice is get cooking supplies. Or you can choose a gift card to Elements. It's a $40 gift card to Elements and Puyallup. Is that frozen yogurt? I think it's frozen yogurt.
No.
Tacoma Java. To Tacoma Java coffee. I think there's a couple locations. Tacoma Puyallup, I think it is. And then Giorgio's Greek Cafe in Puyallup, $50. So you can choose.
So what's in the basket?
We have a cookie sheet, a baking cookie sheet. We've got brown sugar supplies to bake things. So like the brown sugar, the cornstarch, the pumpkin, can of pumpkin, the cooking tray, dish towels, silicone baking mat. So it's if you like to bake.
Oh, okay. I don't know. So yeah, I guess my husband loves to bake, so maybe he would like it.
Do you want the basket?
Loaded.
What?
Do you want the basket? You choose. And then we'll draw a winner for the rest.
Loaded to me. Yeah.
You can choose Jamie. You want the basket?
Yeah, I'll take the basket.
Okay, basket. Now the gift cards, basket's gone. I'll connect with you, Teresa. I'll be in
Okay.
Eno Pond Friday.
Probably.
Okay.
Anthony.
Amy Palmer, which you can come pick one of these gift cards, either anyone that you want. Giorgio's Pizza or Giorgio's Cafe for $50, Tacoma Java for $50, or Elements for $40. You pick. And then the next one that will be second to pick is Mr. Bill Wiggins. And then the third, you can pick any one of these Elements, $40. That's, I think it's frozen yogurt. Giorgio's Greek Cafe, $50. Tacoma Shop. Okay, perfect. It's yours. Yes, thank you. And then J.E. Hey, Johnny Evans.
Wow.
Java or frozen yogurt.
What do we got to do to clean up the room, man?
We got to put it back together. Okay. And then Bill can come. Okay, that's one more winner then. One more winner. Teresa Rodman, you get a gift card too. All right. You get 2 gifts, Teresa. All right,
Hey, let's get the room put back together, guys.
Keep you posted on what's happening next week and future weeks. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Good night, everybody.